Hey, Team Numis Canada. That's what I call my subscribers and members. Hello, coin collectors, young and old, and anyone else that might be watching. Welcome to Numis Canada with Bruce. And today we have part 3 of my father's coin collection. And that's what we have here. Of course, we will sort out all the foreign coins and do those separately. And if there is a lot of US coins, we'll also separate those out and do those in part 2 of episode 3. So we'll start off with the Canadian coins that are in here. So we'll be right back after this. Welcome back. Well, here we are with the coins sorted, and I've done it a little bit differently than I've done it before, where I did it by decades previously, but now I've sorted these by denomination because it's a little bit easier to see everything that is here. And we'll start off with the pennies, and of course, this is actually a half penny from 1854, and it is in VF condition. It is from Upper Canada, Bank of Upper Canada, 1854, and flip it like an American coin, Bruce. And here we go, bank token, 1/2 penny. And I'm looking to see if there's a mint mark on here, and I don't see one. So I'm not exactly sure where this one would have been minted. I'll look it up in the book and then add it in the notes afterwards. But this is probably the pièce de résistance from this part of his collection. It is a very nice coin in good condition, and it is a 1/2 penny bank token from 1854. And to give you a example of difference in size, that is a penny, and that is the 1/2 penny. How cool is that? So we'll get back into these. And another coin that he had in this envelope, which puzzles me why it was in here, but it is a 1940, because the tones in these envelopes, the coins would have toned. And this is a 1940 Canada, and it has toned a little bit. There's a little red through Canada. But other than that, it's just a brown penny, and with King George VII. King George VI, Bruce. Smarten up. So I'll put that back in here. But he did have another coin that is older than this, and that is this coin that I set here, and this is a 1934 1 cent with the older design for the pennies, and it is 1934 with King George V. How cool is that? So beyond that, we have 1944, and that still has King George VI. King George VI with 1948. King George, our first one with the Queen Elizabeth, 1961, with her laureate portrait. And 1964 with her laureate portrait. 1967, we have 4 of these with the rock dove and her second portrait. And we go through from 68, 69, 71, 72, and that's got some funky colors on it. It's got red and it's got green, and it's green, I'm sure, is the copper tarnishing, but it's got red and green and just an interesting looking maple leaf, kind of like the weather outside right now. And you're not focusing, so focus on that. Okay, and a worn Queen Elizabeth II. So beyond that, we have 74, 76, and 78. Then my father died in 1994. So my mother dropped in coins after he passed. So that's why there may be more coins as we get going up farther. And she started just saving pennies as soon as they started to say pennies are going out of circulation. So these are 1980. My father would have put one of these aside, but my mother may have dropped in another one. And 82, 83, 84, a bunch of 85, a bunch of 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, or 89, then it skips to 92. There's a bunch of those with a double date. That has the double date because it's one of the Queen's Jubilees. And we have 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. 2000, 2000, 2001, and these all would have been added by my mother. These are 2002, a bunch of those. 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, and there's 2 varieties of the 2006, as you may recall. And there's 2 here. There is one, those 2, and this one. There's 3 2006. So there's one with Queen Elizabeth with just her head and no P and no mint mark. And this is the second of the 6 varieties. And this is Queen Elizabeth with the mint mark, and this one is non-magnetic. These were issued in both magnetic and non-magnetic. This one, these are all non-magnetic, so they do not have the P's, and they've been tested, so there's no errors here. And we went and of course the last coin is 2009 in the pennies. Now we next go to the nickels. The nickels start off as early as 1942. And we have flip it like a Canadian coin, Bruce. King George, the young portrait of King George VI. We have 2 nickel Sudbury commemoratives, 1951 for the nickel mine. And that has King George VI. We have the multi-sided 1961 with a laureate portrait of Queen Elizabeth. We have the round portrait of the laureate portrait of Queen Elizabeth in 1963. We have the 1966 nickel, and this one looks like it's a bear belly. Now, if you don't know about the bear belly, and if you don't know about the bear belly, I don't know if this one's just worn, but some people collect the bear bellies. And of course, the 67 are the bunnies with the rabbits. And of course, that has her second portrait. After that, we have 78, 79, 87, the double dated 92s, 1967 to 9, that's Canada 125, I believe. And the third portrait of Queen Elizabeth with the large one. And 94, 2004, and this we go to her final portrait in 2004, and this one would have been added by my mother. Actually, the 94 my father would have put in, and these two 2005 nickels, she thought they were kind of cool, so she obviously put aside two of them here. How cool is that? Now, for dimes, we have a no dated, it's just worn off, King George V, and it is silver. That's 80% silver. King George is in no date. A 80% silver 1960s. So, and they have the laureate portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. We've got a 1961 80% silver with a laureate portrait of Queen Elizabeth. We've got three 1963 dimes, 80% silver, and they all have the laureate portrait of Queen Elizabeth. We move then to 1967, and I am surprised there's not more of these. Now, there were only two in this collection. This one is 80% silver, and this one is 50% silver. Do you know how I did that? Figured that out? Is I pinged both of them, and the pure silver has a longer ring than the 50%. So I don't know if it'll pick it up on the phone. That's the 80%. Actually, I think it was the other way around. But you see there was a slight difference in the ring, and they're both silver. So how cool is that? And the same is true for these 1968s. We've got four 1968 silver and two nickel. Now this one could have fooled you. It looks like it could be silver. But when you do the ping test, it doesn't have a ping. It sounds like a button falling, as does that one. But these ones have the ring. That's how you can find out which ones are 50% and which ones are 80%. You can also do the same thing to find out which ones are nickel and which ones are silver. And Moving on to the nickel dimes, we've got a 1980. Good heavens, these dates are tiny. And get my. That's not. 1992. 92. 2001. So 92, 2000. So 92, my father would have added the 2001 dime. My mother would have added 2004, 2007, 2008, and 2010. Now there were two dimes or two quarters in here, and I think they were both added by my mother because there were no other quarters in this collection. This is 2004. She would have set it aside because it was a good example of the second poppy quarter. And there is also this one, which is 2005, which is just a nice clean looking example of a quarter. So now we get into the biggest part of the collection, and that is the half dollars. So we start off here, and the majority of them are silver, with the exception of these three. And of course, these three are 2002, and they would have been added by my mother. And of course, it was double dated, so I guess she managed to get three, so she dropped three into the collection. So how cool is that? But going backwards, we have 1964. We have three half dollars, and of course those have the laureate portrait of Queen Elizabeth. These are 80% silver. And we go here. This is 1963. And again, they will have the laureate portrait of Queen Elizabeth. We go back to 1962. That's a dirty 1962, but again, the laureate portrait of Queen Elizabeth, and is still silver. As my cousin calls it on his channel, he calls it Heritage Silver, and I think that's a great name for Canadian silver, because constitutional silver is American silver, and we have heritage silver here. 1961 with the laureate portrait of Queen Elizabeth, and that's the second coin. I have two of those, and there's a little black spot on this one. We go here, we have 1959, and this is 80% silver as well, and that's Queen Elizabeth's laureate portrait, 1959, and of course 1956, again with the laureate portrait of Queen Elizabeth, 1953, laureate portrait of Queen Elizabeth, 1952, King George VI, 1950, King George VI, and my goodness, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1951s. And of course, these have the portrait of King George VI. And going backwards, we go backwards to 1944, and of course that has George VI. Again, 80% silver. This is the older design, and this is 1917 with, I'm just going to double check that under the loop because it's difficult to see that faded number with the naked eye. And $19.17. So I was correct. That's a 1917, and you can just barely see that. And it has King George VI, or fifth rather. King George V has the crown and faces the other direction. And the last coin is 1908 with King Edward VII. And this is the oldest one. So this is 1908 with King Edward VII. So we go into the dollars next. And dollars have taken a lot of different sizes. There's the current loonies, and of course we have a couple of these. They're both from 1988. And I'm sure he spent most of the loonies that he got, but these two ended up, and that one's actually in pretty good condition. And from there we go back to the nickel dollars, and there are three of these, and these are Jacques Cartier, of course. And I think I told you in a previous video that he was one that put the cannon on Mount Pelion. That's not who he's supposed to have put it. It was Samuel de Champlain. And we have a medallion with him a little bit later. So there we go. He has three of those from 1984. Then we move into the silver dollars, which are bigger than the nickel dollars, because I'll show you that. You didn't realize the nickel dollars until now were smaller, unless you're an avid collector, that the nickel dollars were smaller than the silver dollars. And the nickel dollars today are still smaller that you can get in the sets. And this is 1965, and this is 80% silver, and with the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth. And this one's toning up lovely. And the last dollar we have here is, it hurts me when I see this, but this is a Hold 1958 centennial of BC joining the Confederation of Canada. And it is a lovely coin, but it is drilled because somebody wore it as a medallion. It has the young portrait of Queen Elizabeth, the laureate portrait. But I will say this, it's still silver. It's still 80% silver, so it's still got some value, at least the base value for heritage silver. And next we go into tokens. And of course, there's some really interesting ones here, but I think we've seen these in each and every one of his bags. He kept a lot of these no cash tokens, and there's 5, 6 here. So we want to go to the casino and use them. I don't know if the casino still uses these. I doubt it. I think they have their own brand now. But there's a no cash token. Now these ones, I believe these came out in 1984, but I can't be sure. If you know, leave it in the comments below, because these are $1 McDollar, no cash value, details in store. McDonald's $1, valid only at participating McDonald's. And there are 2 of them. And of course they have McDonald's Canada $1, and you flip it over and it's got McDollar, McDonald's, and Loblaws. If you know why there's a Loblaws logo on this, put that in the comments below. Did Loblaws give out these McDollars? I'm just curious about that. How did these come to be? And they're nice nickel medallions. There's 2 of them in this collection. Now the next collection is a $1 community coin, and this is from the Royal Canadian Legion, Edmonton, Alberta. And of course it is a $1, $1 Canadian dollar from the Royal Canadian Legion. How cool is that? Now this is who brought the cannon to the mountain, and is Samuel de Champlain. And of course this is a medallion that was, there was a collection card of great explorers, and this is one of them. And Samuel de Champlain was known to have gone down the Trent River. And that's why there's the rumor that he put the cannon on Mount Pelion to defend the fort. I think that may be a falsehood or a urban legend, Trenton's hardly urban, but a old legend from way back when. I don't think anybody really knows who put the cannon up there, and it has a maple leaf on the other side. I believe that this was in the 70s that these came out. Just as these came out in 1969, and you've seen a lot of these in my father's collection. These are the Apollo 11 Man on the Moon medallions, and here are 2 more. Now this coin is, you may recall that I was upset earlier this year when the Royal Canadian Mint issued King Charles's coronation medal with his mother on the obverse. Well, here is Queen Elizabeth's coronation medal. And of course, you flip it over and it is Queen Elizabeth on the obverse. Why could Canada not have done that? Anyway, and here is a lucky token. And this one says heads I win. And you flip it over and it flips like a Canadian coin. Lucky token, tails I lose. Now, speaking of lucky tokens, this last one is from Wilkes Shoes, glove fit shoes. So shoes that fit like gloves. And this is a lucky token, and it has, you will always have good luck with me. And it has a swastika on it. This token was issued well before World War II, where the Nazis absconded with that logo and turned it into a symbol of hatred and division. But this coin is in my collection, and of course it's for glove fit shoes, and We as a planet should reclaim that symbol, but I don't know how we can. Anyway, that is everything that was in this bag for my father's collection, with the exception of these world coins, which will be in a future video, and these US coins, which will be in the follow-up video in this series. Now the next video, I'm not sure what it will be, quite possibly world coins from the World Coin series, but we'll get into that next week. Thank you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed going through my father's collection, part 3, and hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.
And please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and keep on collecting.